All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling the fundamentals of personal finance.
Yes, we are.
But we're going a little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
We're not just going to be talking about what budgeting is. We're going to be talking about how to budget.
Exactly.
We're going to be talking about saving and investing, not just why they're important,
Right.
but how to actually make those things work for you.
Yeah. Strategies behind them.
Yeah, and how you can take control of your financial well-being no matter where you're starting from.
Absolutely. It's about empowerment.
Exactly.
It's about giving you the tools to make informed decisions about your money.
And I'm really excited to have you here with me today because you're like the expert on this stuff.
Well, I wouldn't say expert, but
You know more than me.
I've spent some time in the world of personal finance, that's for sure.
And you've helped a lot of people
I've tried to, yeah.
get their finances in order.
It's a passion of mine.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
The first thing we're going to tackle is budgeting.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people hear the word budgeting and they kind of like,
They cringe.
yeah, it doesn't sound like a fun time.
It sounds restrictive. It sounds like a diet for your money.
Yeah, but it really doesn't have to be that way.
No, it really doesn't.
It's more about being intentional with your money.
Absolutely.
Knowing where it's going and making sure that it's aligned with your values.
That's a good way to put it.
So what are some of your favorite budgeting methods or strategies?
Well, I'm a big fan of the 50-30-20 rule as a starting point.
Okay. I've heard of that.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah. So like 50% of your income goes to needs.
Needs, exactly, things like your housing.
Right.
Your groceries, transportation, utility.
Things you can't really live without.
Yeah, the essentials.
Yeah. And then 30%?
30% is for your wants.
Okay, so that's where like fun comes in.
Fun comes in exactly your entertainment, your hobbies,
Darn you.
vacations, dining out.
Yeah.
All the things that make life enjoyable.
This is not all about deprivation.
No, not at all.
You get to have some fun with it.
Exactly.
And then the last 20%?
20%, that's for your future.
Okay.
That's your savings and your debt repayment.
So important.
So important.
To get out of debt.
Absolutely.
And to have that savings for emergencies and all that stuff.
Exactly. So you're building a solid financial foundation for yourself.
I like that it's like a little framework you can start with.
Yeah, it's a good starting point.
And then adjust as you go.
Absolutely. Everybody's situation is different.
Right.
You got to personalize it.
Now, what about zero-based budgeting?
Oh, zero-based budgeting. That's a good one.
I've heard of that one too. I don't know much about it though.
So zero-based budgeting is all about giving every dollar a job.
Okay.
So at the beginning of each month, you sit down and you plan exactly how you're going to spend every dollar of your income.
Oh, wow.
And the goal is to have your income minus your expenses equal zero.
So every dollar is accounted for.
Every dollar is accounted for.
I like that it sounds very organized.
It is. It's very hands-on. But it can be very effective for people who really want to get granular with their spending.
Like people who really like to be in control of their finances.
Exactly. They want to know where every penny is going.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if you're somebody who likes to track everything and you like that level of detail,
Yeah.
zero-based budgeting might be a good option for you.
Cool.
But if you're more of a big picture person,
Right.
then the 50-30-20 rule might be a better fit.
I like that there's different options for different personalities.
There you go.
All right. So we've talked about budgeting. Let's move on to saving.
Okay.
I think we all know that saving is important.
Yeah.
We've
heard it from our parents.
We've heard it from everybody.
Yeah. Save for a rainy day.
But beyond just having that emergency fund, what are some of the other benefits of saving?
Well, I like to think of savings as your financial freedom fund.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
It's not just about having money set aside for unexpected expenses.
Right.
It's about having the flexibility and the options to make choices in your life. Okay.
So, for example, if you hate your job and you have savings, you have the option to quit.
You're not trapped.
You're not trapped.
By your financial situation.
Exactly. Or maybe you want to start your own business.
Ooh.
Having savings can give you the runway to do that.
To take that risk.
Yeah. Or maybe you just want to take a dream vacation.
Yeah.
Having savings means you can do that without having to go into debt.
Without stressing about it.
Exactly.
So it really is about freedom.
It's about freedom and it's about peace of mind.
Speaking of peace of mind, remember that time when my car broke down?
Oh, yeah.
Like in the middle of nowhere?
That was a scary situation.
It was scary, but, I had that emergency fund.
You were prepared.
I was prepared. And it just took all the stress out of the situation because I knew I could handle it.
You had that safety net.
Yeah.
And that's what saving is all about.
It's a good feeling.
It is.
All right. So we've talked about budgeting. We talked about saving.
All right, let's move on to investing.
All right. Let's do it.
Now, investing can seem intimidating.
Yeah, it can seem very complex.
Yeah, especially if you're not familiar with all the jargon.
Wall Street, all that stuff.
Yeah, but it really doesn't have to be that complicated.
No, it doesn't.
At its core, investing is really just about putting your money to work for you.
Exactly. You're putting your money into assets that have the potential to grow in value over time.
So instead of just sitting in your bank account,
Right.
it's actually out there potentially earning you more money.
Making money while you sleep.
I like that.
That's the dream.
So how does compound interest play into all of this?
Compound interest is like the magic ingredient of investing.
Okay.
It's the idea that your earnings on your investments can then generate their own earnings.
So it's like a snowball effect.
Exactly. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill.
Getting bigger and bigger.
Getting bigger and bigger over time.
The earlier you start investing,
the more time that snowball has to grow.
And the bigger it gets.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's powerful stuff.
But investing isn't just about compound interest, right?
No, it's also about diversification.
Okay, what does that mean?
Diversification means not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right, like don't put all your money in one stock.
Exactly. You want to spread your investments across different asset classes.
Okay, what are some examples of asset classes?
So you've got stocks, which represent ownership in a company.
Okay.
You've got bonds, which are essentially loans that you make to governments or corporations.
Oh.
You've got real estate.
Huh?
You've got commodities like gold and oil.
Oh, wow.
And you've even got things like peer-to-peer lending.
There's so many options.
There's a lot of options out there.
So by diversifying your portfolio...
You're reducing your risk.
Okay.
Because if one investment doesn't perform well,
right,
the others can help to cushion the blow.
So it's about spreading that risk.
Exactly. It's about not putting all your eggs in one basket.
I like that analogy.
It's a classic for a reason.
All right, so we've talked about budgeting, we've talked about saving, we've talked about investing.
We're on a roll.
Let's talk about debt.
Okay.
Now, debt is something that a lot of people struggle with.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it's very common.
Yeah, and it can be really stressful.
It can be incredibly stressful.
But not all debt is created equal.
That's right. There's good debt and there's bad debt.
Okay, so help me understand the difference.
So good debt is typically debt that helps you build wealth or increase your earning potential over time.
Okay.
So for example, a mortgage is generally considered good debt because it allows you to own a property that could appreciate in value over time.
So you're building equity.
You're building equity, exactly.
Yeah.
Student loans can also be considered good debt.
Okay.
Because you're investing in your education.
Right.
Which can lead to higher earning potential in the future.
So it's an investment in yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, bad debt, on the other hand, is typically high interest consumer debt.
Like credit cards.
Like credit cards, exactly.
Oh, yeah, those can be dangerous.
They can be very dangerous because the interest rates can be very high.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, that debt can quickly spiral out of control.
And you're just paying so much in interest.
You're basically throwing money away.
Yeah.
So it's important to be mindful of the types of debt that you're taking on.
And try to avoid that high interest debt.
Absolutely.
If you can.
Especially credit card debt.
Yeah.
That's the worst kind.
So if you're already in debt,
yeah,
what are some things that people can do to start getting out of it?
Well, the first step is to create a budget.
Okay.
And get a clear picture of your income and your expenses.
So you know where your money's going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can start to identify areas where you can cut back on your spending.
Right.
And free up some extra cash to put towards your debt.
So finding those areas where you might be overspending.
Exactly. Maybe you're spending too much on eating out.
Or subscriptions.
Or subscriptions. Yeah, those can really add up. Once you've freed up some extra cash, you can start to tackle your debt using different strategies.
Okay, like what?
So one popular strategy is the debt snowball method.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of like start with the smallest debt and then...
You focus on paying off the smallest debt first, and then you roll that payment into the next smallest debt.
Okay.
And you keep going until all your bets are paid off.
So it's like a snowball.
It's like a snowball, exactly.
Yeah, picking up momentum as you go.
Exactly.
That's a cool method.
It's a good one because it gives you some quick wins early on.
Well, that's good for motivation.
Exactly, because paying off debt can be a long and arduous process.
Yeah.
So having those quick wins can help you stay motivated and on track.
I like that.
Another strategy is the debt avalanche method.
Okay, what's that one?
So with the debt avalanche method, you focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that's the debt that's costing you the most money in interest.
Right.
So by tackling that one first, you'll save the most money in the long run.
Okay, so it's a little bit more strategic.
It's a little bit more strategic, yeah.
Yeah.
But it might take a little bit longer to see those quick wins.
Right.
But ultimately, you'll save more money.
Okay, so it depends on what your priorities are.
Exactly.
Right. We've talked about budgeting. We've talked about saving. We've talked about investing. We've talked about debt. What's left? I think the only thing left is retirement.
Oh, the big R word.
I know it's like a scary word for some people.
It feels so far away.
Yeah, it feels like something you don't have to worry about until you're like 60.
Yeah, but the truth is, the earlier you start planning for retirement, the better off you'll be.
Why is that?
Because of compound interest.
Oh, yeah, that magical thing.
That magical thing.
That snowball.
That snowball rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
The more time you give your investments to grow, the bigger that snowball will become.
So even if you're just starting out in your career, it's not too early to start thinking about retirement.
Not at all. Even if you can only afford to contribute a small amount each month, it will make a big difference over time.
So small, consistent contributions.
Exactly. That's the key.
Can really add up over time.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
It is.
Now, what if you're already familiar with the concept of compound interest?
Okay.
Are there any advanced strategies that people can use to really maximize its effects when it comes to retirement planning?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're probably already contributing to a 401k or a similar retirement plan through your employer,
Right.
which is great.
Yeah.
But there are other things you can do to really supercharge your retirement savings.
Okay, like what?
So one option is to consider opening a Roth IRA.
A Roth IRA.
Yeah. So with a Roth IRA, your contributions aren't tax deductible now,
Okay.
but your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
Oh, wow. So you pay the taxes up front.
You pay the taxes up front.
But then in retirement,
You don't have to pay any taxes on your earnings.
that's amazing.
It's a great deal, especially if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another option is to look into index funds.
Index funds. Okay. Yeah.
Index funds are a type of mutual fund
Okay.
that tracks a specific market index, like
Okay.
the S&P 500.
Okay.
And what's great about index funds is that they offer broad market exposure at a very low cost.
So you're not paying a lot in fees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those fees can really eat into your returns over time. So
Sure.
by investing in low-cost index funds,
Yeah.
you can really maximize your returns.
And let that compound interest work its magic.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From budgeting to saving to investing to debt management to retirement planning.
The whole gamut.
Yeah, I feel like we've really given our listeners a lot to think about.
I hope so.
What stands out to you as like the most important takeaway from all of this?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is that all of these areas are interconnected. You know, they all work together to create a solid foundation for financial well-being.
Yeah.
It's not about mastering every single aspect of personal finance.
Right.
It's about finding the strategies that work best for you.
Yeah.
And taking small, consistent steps towards your goals.
So it's a journey.
It's a journey. It's not a destination.
I like that.
You know, it's about continuous learning and improvement.
And being patient with yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't have to become a financial expert overnight.
Right.
Just take it one step at a time.
That's a great way to put it.
So I would like to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
What small step can you take this week
Yeah.
to get closer to your financial goals?
Oh, I like that.
Remember, even small changes can have a big impact over time.
Absolutely.
So don't underestimate the power of those small steps.
That's a great point, and I think it's also important to remember that your financial journey is unique.
Absolutely.
You know, don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, everybody's starting from a different place.
Yeah, focus on making smart choices that align with your goals and your values.
That's what matters.
Yeah, you got this.
You do.
Thanks for joining me today for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
It was great having you here.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Sounds good.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.